Hello, what's going on? We're back again with one of these. So we're getting there. We're almost done with this. I feel like we don't really need to add much to this anymore, but we'll see as we go. So unfortunately, this does have to be a relatively short one because I actually have some IRL studying that I actually need to do. So this came out of nowhere, but unfortunately, yeah, work calls. So I got to prioritize work. So without further ado, let's just do what we can tonight. Okay, so let's see. So yesterday we've talked about betrayal. So there are many forms of betrayal that can apply to this. Using physical and psychological betrayal as an example, they can combine to intensify fear, manipulation of trust, spaces actively deceive, challenge and pressure the player. Horror emerges less from the threat, but from the realization that areas that you once trusted are now against you. Self-doubt. Players rely on memory to help them navigate, but due to betrayal of space, that memory starts to be put into question. Can you trust the layout? Returning to the hallway you know feels alien. Familiarity betrays you. Horror games exploit this fragility of trust, not only in the game world, but in your mind. Okay. What more can we do here? What more can we do? So we've talked about self-doubt. We've talked about disorientation. We've talked about time and anticipatory fear. We talked about environmental storytelling, emotional tension, isolation, hallucinations in unreliable spaces, distorted perceptions, sound shadows, anticipation, and the architecture as physical betrayal. Okay. We could talk about dread, because we haven't talked about that yet. Okay. We'll come up with something for that. This is technically the only project I'm working on right now besides Golden Sun, but Golden Sun's an ongoing project, so I'm not really too worried about that. So I could actually double down on this. And as usual, don't drink unless you're an adult. So, section 12. Let's give ourselves like at least 20 minutes. So, section 12. Dread. Let's dread and no, actually, awareness and dread. Awareness and dread. And again, as usual, if I'm writing stuff down, there are potential they can be potentially added to the narrative. So just because I put self-doubt here doesn't mean that self-doubt might make it to the final product. So we're just giving ourselves like a little bit more real estate. Just we don't want to be redundant. So I don't want to really talk about the brain that much because I always talk about the brain. So section 12, awareness and dread. What do I want to do here? Layers know patterns exist. Layers know patterns exist. Oh, yeah, this is good. Uh you don't know what vanilla is? It's just normal Freddy. Vanilla is just when you dub something as just a normal. Like vanilla is a very basic normal flavor. So vanilla Freddy is just normal Freddy. I.e. normal Freddy. Before he becomes active. Um I guess fatal frame we can do. Fatal frame's weird. because no, because they're scripted. Scripted ghost appearances. Uh, well, in the case of Resident Evil 2, scripted events. Players know patterns exist. Animatronic locations throughout the night, i.e., where Vanilla Freddy is. And obviously, as the nights progress, he becomes active. Or Foxy, for example. You always know Foxy's at Pirates Cove, and yeah, Foxy does the thing. You're not paying attention. Fatal Frame again is weird because the ghosts are scripted for the most part. But I don't want to play a Fatal Frame that the ghosts aren't scripted. That's gonna be some shit right there. Okay. So awareness and dread. What more can I do here? Hmm. Let's see. Actually, we can do something here. Um. What if we do this? There's no patterns exist. Animatronic locations throughout the nights, i.e. Vanilla Freddy location, scripted ghost events, scripted events, i.e. the RPD library, it's scripted that zombies will burst through red and yellow hull windows due to it being a scripted event. Okay. Hmm. Tension. Oh, and it's accelerated. That's a good example. Okay. So we've talked about patterns, tension loop. What else can we talk about? Hmm. The emotional impact of it. FNAF is weird because, for example, when Foxy does the thing, you're sure you get the jump scare, but it's like you feel salty as a result. It's like, God damn it, I should have been paying attention to Pirate's Cove. Well, here comes Foxy running down the hallway. So, depending on the game, like emotions make me like all over the place. Like, I think I mentioned remake yesterday as an example. Like, yeah, with the L-shaped hallway and by extension, YOLO, I mean, not YOLO, Hell Hall. Like, I know what's gonna happen eventually. That I have to go through those halls, especially like later on in Mansion 2. But I just don't want to do it because I already know there's gonna be a lot of pain, insult. It's like Lisa, for example, in Lisa in the caverns underneath the mansion when you have to put the fire. When you have to, what was the trap called? I forgot what the trap was called. It's when you have to put the fire extinguisher on the latch in order to unlock the door in order to go into our secret chambers. That section is very, very tense, just because um the elevator that you take down gets screwed up because water goes in the controls, or if you're playing as Jill, Barry just leaves you down there, and there's nowhere else for you to go besides forward, and Lisa and Trevor's patrolling the hallway. So, for me personally, it's a very tense situation. So I feel dread in a sense whenever I have to go through it, because obviously you can't kill Lisa. You're just burning ammo just to down her. She just gets right back up. So yeah, emotional impact. We can do that. Not so much in RE2 with Mr. X, because Mr. X is like, he's just, Mr. X is funny in RE2 vanilla, but if it's like, oh, if it's like remake, yeah, that's a different story. Like, me and Mr. X have a very fun-filled relationship. So emotional impact. Preparation. Preparation. Cannot spell. Preparation. Oh, I cannot spell tonight. Preparation feels to comfort the player. It feels to comfort the player. Hmm. Player is forced state of hypervigilance, like you're on edge. State of being on edge. Being on edge. We're aware of the risks. And hyper aware of the risks. Risks. And time. This in a sense, advice strikes. Okay, so I think that's good. So let's read what we have here. So section 12. Awareness and dread. Players know patterns exist. Animatronic locations throughout the night, i.e. Vanilla Freddy's location. Scripted ghost events. Scripted ghost events being specifically for Fatal Frame 4, obviously. Scripted events, for example, in the RPD, it's scripted that zombies will burst through red and yellow hall windows due to it being a scripted event. So we know. Essentially, mechanics that are predictable become terrifying through expectation. You know eventually Foxy will do the thing if you're not paying attention to Pirate's Cove. The brain anticipates danger before it arrives. The emotional impact. Preparation fails to comfort the player. The player is forced in a state of being on edge, hyper aware of the risks and timing. This, in a sense, amplifies stress. Okay, so I think that's good. Okay. What do we want to do now? I still don't know if I'm gonna be doing a mythological tie-in with this, or if I'm just gonna do a horror movie analysis. Because I'm probably gonna use Scream 1 because Sydney does get chased through her house at one point, and that's definitely a big betrayal of space. You think you're safe in your home, but no, hell no. Especially in horror movies, you are never safe in your house. Things always go wrong. And since she's anti-meta, it's ironic that she said, yeah, in horror movies, they always run upstairs when there's a perfect good front door. That she ends up running upstairs herself. I'm like, bruh. Scream one's a treasure. But yeah, I probably will end up just doing that horror movie analysis because it's been a while. Because we've just been focusing on mythological tie-ins. Okay. Oh, that's actually a good one right there. Implied horror. It's like, oh yeah, the final girl, instead of going out the perfectly good front door, ends up just running upstairs. All right, implied horror. All right, how can we word that though? No, oh wait a minute. No, I got something here actually. Yeah, I have something. Hmm. Yeah, this can work. Section. This is 13. Yeah, section 13. Uh. Wait a minute. Okay. Implied horror. What the fuck? So what do you want to do here for implied horror? Implied horror. Hmm. Furniture being like in disarray is a good one. Or just yeah, like the background items being like totally like screwed up. This one definitely applies to like security breach though, because the the gen the sun and moons thing, you have open generators just right there. Like, holy crap, kids played here. Well, again, we don't judge. We don't judge fast entertainment stuff. Oh my god. All right, we're gonna have a fun time when eventually we get to isolation and security breach, but that's for another thing. So let's talk about the background, like the backdrop items, because they tell a story. I know we did environmental storytelling, but this kind of ties into that as well because you're implying that some stuff went down. So implied horror. Bloodstains. Bloodstains. Hopefully this is not Chris's blood. Bloodstains. Overturned furniture. Bloodstains, overturned furniture. Interior. Oh my god. Yikes. I totally butchered that spelling. You can never spell when it matters. But anyway, back to this. Deteriorating, and what stains, overturned furniture, deteriorating environment, okay. So players sense that prior events sense that prior event players sense prior events actually sense prior events Since prior events. Players sense prior events, but gaps. To imagine what happened. It's kind of pretty much self-explanatory. We'll use Resident Evil 1 as an example. They run into the mansion. Everything seems normal until they start exploring the rooms. Then you see some stuff went down besides zombies or whatever BOW just showed up. Or in Fatal Frame 4's case, Fatal Frame 4's case, like that whole entire mental asylum is just like in total like it's a derelict. Like holy shit. Or okay, that's fine. Okay, what else? There's more we could put here. There's definitely more. Uh okay. Fact that animat and I quote, I know it's been like 11 years since this came out. Just the fact that animatronics have free reign to walk around at night? Hell no. Oh god no. Hmm. So, what is insane? With a player. The player. So, okay, good. So, again, unfortunately, I do have to do some IRL studying for myself for work. So, let's just go over what we did today. So, I think we actually got we're at section 13. So, I think we can actually start case studies now. So let's see what we got today. So section 12 was awareness and dread. Players know patterns exist, animatronic locations throughout the nights, i.e. Vanilla Freddy's location, and how he just stays there until the later nights. Scripted ghost appearances, Fatal Frame 4 is literally all scripted. Scripted events in the RPD, for example, Zombies will burst the windows when you go through. As soon as you walk into the library, the windows crash. And red hallway and yellow hallway windows are pretty much open. And unless you're playing the A scenario and you shut the shutters, it won't appear in the B scenario. But if you said fuck, we're not even gonna bother with it. Yeah, red and yellow hall become overrun with more zombies. Tension loops. Mechanics that are predictably become terrifying through expectation. For example, you know Foxy will eventually do the thing if you're not paying attention to Pirate's Cove. The brain anticipates danger before it arrives. And for the emotional impact, preparation fails to comfort the player. The player is forced into a state of being on edge, hyper aware of the risks and timing. This, in a sense, implies stress. And Section 13's implied horror, bloodstains, overturned furniture, deteriorating environment, technology conveniently not working. Players sense prior events, but gaps for them. I gotta reword that. But gaps force them. The gaps force them to imagine what happened. Always proofread yourself, because you see weird grammatical errors like that. Even though something feels normal, there is a looming shadow that taunts the player, which proves otherwise, i.e. the subtle hints of Afton shenanigans in the background. What is seen or implied becomes terrifying for the player because our minds try to fill in the gaps, and eventually the revealed truth can lead and have adverse effects. Okay, good stuff. So we'll see where we stand tomorrow. If need be, we can add like one more penultimate section before we get to the case studies, then we can go from there. I don't know if I'm going to do a mythological tie-in. I probably will just end up doing the horror movie analysis, which I've done in my other videos. It will just do it with Scream 1 and Sydney getting chased, and we'll just go over it together. All right, take care. I'll have to do some sprite animation later. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Have a good one, guys. I'll see people later.